1. What is the primary responsibility of a gas technician level 3 instructor when developing a training curriculum? A. Focusing solely on hands-on practical skills. B. Ensuring compliance with regulatory standards and adult learning principles. C. Minimizing classroom time to maximize field experience. D. Teaching only the most advanced gas fitting techniques. 2. Which adult learning principle is most critical when training apprentice gas technicians? Adults learn best through lecture-only formats. B. Adults bring life experience that should be incorporated into learning. C. Adults prefer to be taught exactly like children. D. Adults do not need practical application of concepts. 3. When mentoring a level 1 gas technician, what approach is most effective? A. Providing answers without explanation to save time. B. Demonstrating tasks while explaining the rationale and safety considerations. C. Allowing them to figure out everything independently. D. Criticizing mistakes without offering constructive feedback. 4. What is the primary consideration when sizing gas piping for multiple appliances? A. Using the smallest pipe possible to save money. B. Calculating total BTU demand, pipe length, pressure drop, and specific gravity per code requirements. C. Using the same size pipe throughout regardless of load. D. Guessing based on experience only. 5. According to B149.1 Natural Gas and Propane Installation Code, what is required before conducting a pressure test on a gas piping system? A. The system must be filled with water. B. All openings must be capped and the system must be visually inspected. C. The gas must be turned on immediately. D. No preparation is necessary. 6. When evaluating an apprentice's practical skills, which method provides the most comprehensive assessment? A. Written test only. B. Observation of performance with a detailed rubric and feedback. C. Self-assessment by the apprentice. D. Peer review only. 7. What is the minimum pipe size typically required for a domestic gas range connection? A. 1/4 inch. B. 3/8 inch. 1/2 inch. D. 3/4 inch. 8. Which communication technique is most effective when explaining complex gas code requirements to apprentices? Using technical jargon exclusively. B. Breaking down concepts into manageable parts with real-world examples. C. Reading directly from the codebook without elaboration. D. Avoiding questions to maintain schedule. 9. What is the primary purpose of a combustion air calculation in gas appliance installation? A. To determine the color of the flame. B. To ensure adequate air supply for complete combustion and safe operation. C. To calculate the gas pressure needed. D. To measure the room temperature. 10. When developing a lesson plan for gas pressure testing procedures, which component is essential? A. Learning objectives, materials needed, step-by-step procedures, and safety considerations. B. Only the final test results. C. A list of tools without explanation. D. Historical information about gas testing. 11. What is the correct procedure for purging air from a natural gas line after installation? A. Light a match at the outlet to burn off the air. B. Purge to atmosphere outdoors away from ignition sources following code requirements. C. Leave the line sealed and pressurized. D. Purge indoors with all windows closed. 12. Which regulatory body is primarily responsible for gas technical standards in Canada? ACSA Group Canadian Standards Association. B. The local fire department. C. Individual gas companies only. D. The Federal Transportation Department. 13. When mentoring, what is the most important factor in building trust with an apprentice? A. Maintaining strict professional distance. B. Demonstrating consistency, competence, and genuine concern for their development. C. Never admitting to past mistakes. D. Focusing only on their weaknesses. 14. What is the typical test pressure for a natural gas piping system in residential applications? A. Operating pressure only. B. 1.5 times the operating pressure, or 10 psi minimum, whichever is greater. C. 100 psi, regardless of system design. D. No pressure test is required. 15. Which adult learning theory emphasizes the importance of immediate application of knowledge? A. Behaviorism exclusively. B. Andragogy and experiential learning. C. Memorization theory. D. Child-centered pedagogy. 16. What is the minimum clearance typically required between a gas vent and combustible materials? A. No clearance needed. B. 1 inch for type B vents unless listed otherwise. C. 6 inches for all vents. D. 12 inches minimum always. 17. When evaluating written exam performance, what feedback method is most beneficial for apprentice development? A. Only providing the final score. Detailed feedback on incorrect answers with references to code sections and explanations. C. No feedback to encourage independent study. D. Comparing scores publicly with other apprentices. 18. What is the purpose of a sediment trap drip leg in a gas piping system? A. To increase gas pressure. B. To collect sediment, debris, and condensate before it reaches the appliance. C. Reduce gas flow. D. To provide a test point only. 19. Which teaching method is most effective for demonstrating gas appliance troubleshooting? A. Theoretical discussion only. B. Live demonstration, followed by supervised hands-on practice with guided feedback. C. Providing a manual without demonstration. D. Video only without interaction. 20. What is the maximum distance typically allowed between a gas appliance and its isolation valve? A. No limit specified. B. 6 feet, or within the same room and readily accessible. C. 15 feet. D. 25 feet. 21. When developing assessment criteria for practical skills, what approach ensures objectivity? A. Subjective observation without documentation. B. Detailed rubrics with specific performance indicators and measurable outcomes. C. Pass-fail based on personal opinion. D. No formal criteria needed. 22. What is the purpose of a manometer when working with gas systems? A. To measure gas temperature. B. To measure gas pressure, including low pressures in inches of water column. C. To measure pipe diameter. D. To detect gas leaks only. 23. According to adult learning principles, when is the best time to provide corrective feedback? A. Weeks after the mistake occurred. B. Immediately or as soon as practical, in a constructive and private manner when possible. C. Never provide negative feedback. D. Only during annual reviews. 24. What is the minimum hourly air change rate typically required for appliance installation spaces? A. 0.10 H. B. 0.35 ACH for confined spaces or as calculated per code requirements. C. 1.0 H. No air changes required. 25. Which documentation is essential when conducting apprentice evaluations? A. Mental notes only. B. Written records with dates, specific observations, competencies achieved, and areas for improvement. C. Verbal feedback without records. D. Video recordings only. 26. What is the correct method for leak testing gas piping joints? Using an open flame. B. Applying leak detection solution, soap and water, or approved compound, and observing for bubbles. Smelling for gas leaks. No testing required if joints look tight. 27. When teaching gas code compliance, which instructional strategy is most effective? A. Memorization of code sections only. B. Explaining the intent behind codes with real-world applications and case studies. Teaching outdated codes. D. Avoiding codebooks entirely. 28. What is the typical input rating range for residential gas furnaces? A. 10,000 to 30,000 BTU per hours. B. 40,000 to 120,000 BTU per hours. C. 200,000 to 300,000 BTU per hours. D. 500,000 PLU. 29. Which mentoring approach best supports diverse learning styles? A. Using only one teaching method for all apprentices. B. Employing multiple instructional strategies, including visual, auditory, and kinesthetic approaches. C. Lecture-only format. D. Assuming all learners are identical. 30. What is the primary safety concern when working with propane compared to natural gas? A. Propane is lighter than air. B. Propane is heavier than air and will accumulate in low areas, increasing explosion risk. C. Propane has no safety concerns. D. Propane cannot leak from systems. 31. When creating a formative assessment, what is the primary goal? To assign final grades only. B. To provide ongoing feedback during learning to identify areas needing improvement. C. To rank apprentices against each other. D. To fulfill documentation requirements only. 32. What is the purpose of a gas appliance data plate? Decoration only. B. Provides critical information including input rating, gas type, clearances, and certification. C. Shows the manufacturing date only. D. Optional information not needed for installation. 33. Which conflict resolution strategy is most appropriate when an apprentice disagrees with an evaluation? A. Ignoring the concern. B. Active listening, reviewing evidence objectively, and discussing specific performance criteria. C. Arguing to defend the original evaluation. D. Changing the evaluation without discussion. 34. What is the minimum burial depth for underground gas piping in normal soil conditions? A. 6 inches. B. 12 inches for metallic pipe, 18 inches for some plastic pipe per local codes. C. 24 inches always. D. 36 inches minimum.